In 2015, a man earning $250,000 a year declared bankruptcy. His neighbor, a teacher making $48,000, retired a millionaire the same year. Same city, same cost of living, but radically different money psychology. One was driven by what psychologists call financial narcissism. The other understood something most people never learn. This isn't about income, it's about identity. Financial narcissism isn't about being vain or selfish in the traditional sense. It's a specific psychological pattern where your financial decisions exist primarily to manage how others perceive you. Your money becomes a mirror you hold up to the world, desperately hoping to see admiration reflected back. Psychologists identify 3 core traits of financial narcissism. First, status spending. The compulsive need to purchase visible markers of success, even when those purchases actively harm your financial security. Second, financial entitlement. The belief that you deserve a certain lifestyle, regardless of whether you've actually built the wealth to support it. And third, present bias taken to an extreme, an almost pathological inability to delay gratification. Because future you doesn't feel as important as the image you're projecting right now. Here's what makes this so insidious. These behaviors don't feel destructive when you're doing them. They feel like success. Imagine someone who buys a BMW on a 5-year loan at 7% interest. They're not thinking about the £40,000 total cost or the opportunity cost of investing that money. They're thinking about Monday morning when they pull into the office car park. They're imagining the reaction, the validation. That dopamine hit is real. And it's expensive. The problem isn't wanting nice things. The problem is when nice things become a substitute for actual wealth, and the appearance of success becomes more important than the reality of financial security. Research in behavioral economics shows that people with high status spending tendencies often have lower net worth than their income would predict, not because they earn less, but because their identity is tied to consumption, not accumulation. Morgan Housel writes in The Psychology of Money that wealth is what you don't see. It's the cars not purchased, the watches not worn, the upgrades declined. But financial narcissism inverts this completely. For the financial narcissist, only visible wealth counts, because invisible wealth can't earn admiration. Curtis Jackson, known as 50 Cent, earned an estimated $260 million between 2005 and 2015. By 2015, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, claiming assets between $10 and $50 million against liabilities of the same amount. How does someone earn $250 million in a decade and end up insolvent? The answer is a textbook case of financial narcissism. Court documents revealed a lifestyle that cost millions annually to maintain. Multiple mansions, including a Connecticut estate with 52 rooms, a collection of luxury vehicles. Entourage expenses. Private jets. But here's the critical detail that makes this about psychology, not just overspending. Much of this expenditure continued even as his income declined. In 2008, 50 Cent's album sales were falling. Streaming was disrupting the music industry. His income was dropping. A financially rational person would have adjusted their lifestyle downward. But financial narcissism doesn't work that way. The lifestyle wasn't just consumption. It was identity. Cutting back would mean admitting the narrative was changing, that the image was cracking. This is what psychologists call the sunk cost fallacy meeting status anxiety. He'd built an entire public persona around extreme wealth. Every music video, every interview, every social media post reinforced this image. Scaling back wasn't just a financial decision. It felt like erasing his identity. But here's what makes this a pattern, not an isolated case. The bankruptcy filing itself revealed the psychology. Rather than quietly restructuring, the filing became public, detailed, almost theatrical. Even in financial crisis, the image management continued. Some financial analysts noted that the bankruptcy appeared strategically timed around a lawsuit, suggesting the behavior was more complex than simple overspending. The 50 Cent case demonstrates something crucial. Financial narcissism isn't just about earning less than you spend. It's about needing to spend in order to feel like yourself. When your identity is built on visible consumption, cutting back doesn't feel like prudence. It feels like self-erasure. In 2010, Researchers at the University of Michigan conducted a fascinating study on materialism and well-being. They found that individuals with high materialistic values showed significantly different patterns of brain activation when viewing luxury goods compared to less materialistic individuals. The nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center, showed heightened activity.
But here's the critical finding. This heightened response was followed by faster adaptation. In plain English, materialistic individuals get a bigger high from acquiring status goods. But that high fades faster. They're on a hedonic treadmill that spins faster than average. What felt amazing at purchase feels ordinary within weeks. The BMW that validated your success in month 1 becomes just your car by month 6. And now you need the next thing. Daniel Kahneman's research on hedonic adaptation, detailed in Thinking, Fast and Slow, explains why this pattern is so destructive for wealth building. Humans are remarkably bad at predicting how long pleasure from purchases will last. We overestimate the duration of satisfaction and underestimate how quickly we adapt. For the financial narcissist, this miscalculation isn't occasional. It's systematic. The Stanford marshmallow experiment from the 1960s is famous for showing that children who could delay gratification went on to have better life outcomes. But follow-up research revealed something more nuanced. The ability to delay gratification isn't just about willpower. It's about trust in the future and, crucially, about self-concept. Children who had unstable environments, or whose self-worth felt contingent on external validation, were significantly more likely to take the immediate reward. They couldn't trust that waiting would actually pay off, and they needed the immediate validation more. This is the same psychology that drives financial narcissism in adults, when your self-worth is externally derived, when it depends on others' perception of your success. You literally cannot afford to wait. Investing £500 a month might build wealth in 20 years, but it doesn't validate you today. The designer handbag does. The psychological payoff is immediate and certain. The financial payoff is delayed and abstract. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that status-driven purchases activate the same neural pathways as social acceptance. For people with narcissistic financial tendencies, buying isn't really about the object. It's about the feeling of being admired, envied, or validated. And you can't build wealth when every pound is assigned to manage your self-esteem. Here's where the story gets darker. Some industries have become extraordinarily sophisticated at exploiting financial narcissism, and they've turned it into a trillion-dollar business model. Consider the luxury automotive industry's marketing evolution. In the 1980s, luxury car ads focused on engineering, performance, and craftsmanship. By the 2000s, the message had shifted almost entirely to identity and status. BMW's longtime slogan isn't about the car. It's about the driver. The ultimate driving machine became designed for driving pleasure, and then marketing that focused on lifestyle and status. But the really predatory innovation came in financing. Luxury brands realized that the barrier to status spending wasn't desire, it was affordability. So they engineered it away. Lease programs allowed people to drive vehicles they couldn't afford to buy. Monthly payments were marketed instead of total cost. A £60,000 car became just £499 a month. The psychology is deliberate. Financial narcissists don't think in terms of net worth. They think in terms of monthly lifestyle cost. Can I afford the payment? If yes, the purchase feels justified. The fashion industry took this even further. With the rise of aspirational pricing and credit expansion, brands like Gucci and Louis Vuitton introduced entry-level products, small leather goods, and accessories priced under £500. The products themselves have modest production costs, but they carry the brand's status signal. Psychologists call this the prestige signaling gateway. Once someone makes that first status purchase and experiences the validation, they're neurologically primed to continue. The brand has essentially hijacked their identity formation process. Now, part of being themselves involves owning these markers. Social media influencer marketing represents the most sophisticated exploitation yet. Influencers create parasocial relationships with followers, then monetize those relationships by modeling status consumption. The message is constant. This lifestyle is normal, achievable, and necessary for being your best self. A 2019 study found that increased social media use correlated with increased materialistic values, increased status anxiety, and decreased savings rates, particularly among 18 to 35-year-olds. The mechanism is clear. Constant exposure to curated wealth displays recalibrates what feels like normal consumption. Your reference point shifts. What once felt like luxury
starts to feel like necessity.
So how do you break this pattern? Especially if you recognize these tendencies in yourself.
The first step isn't budgeting or investing. It's psychological. You need to separate your identity from your consumption. This sounds abstract, so let's make it concrete. Start by asking, what do I actually enjoy versus what do I buy to be seen enjoying? This distinction is critical. There's nothing wrong with loving cars or fashion or nice meals. The question is whether you love them, or whether you love being seen as someone who has them. One builds genuine satisfaction. The other builds debt with diminishing returns. Try this exercise. Before any significant purchase, ask yourself, would I still want this if no one ever knew I had it? If a luxury watch gave you genuine pleasure but no one could see it, would you still buy it? If the answer is no, you're not buying the object, you're renting validation, and that's an expensive subscription. The second step is reconstructing your financial identity around what Morgan Housel calls wealth you don't see. This requires redefining success internally. Instead of asking, what will people think of my car? Ask, how many years of financial independence am I building? This isn't just reframing. It's creating a new source of self-esteem that's actually sustainable. The pride you feel from seeing your investment account grow, from reaching 12 months of emergency savings, from hitting your net worth targets, is based on reality, not perception. No one can take it from you because it never depended on their approval. The third step is curating your environment. Unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate. Unsubscribe from marketing emails that prey on status anxiety. This isn't about avoiding reality. It's about recognizing that much of your financial environment is deliberately engineered to exploit psychological vulnerabilities. Research shows that people who limit exposure to aspirational marketing report lower financial stress and higher savings rates, even at identical income levels. Your environment shapes your baseline expectations.
If your baseline expectation is luxury, you'll always feel deprived.
If your baseline is sufficiency, you'll feel abundant with less.
Finally, build automatic systems that don't require willpower. Auto-transfer 20% of every paycheck to investments before you see it. Make wealth building invisible and automatic, so it's not competing with your psychological need for validation. Remember that man from the beginning? The one earning $250,000 who went bankrupt? His neighbor, the teacher, didn't retire a millionaire because she earned more. She did it because her identity wasn't for sale. She knew the difference between being rich and looking rich. And in the end, only one of those builds actual wealth.
If you found this valuable, subscribe for more on the hidden psychology of money. Next, watch our video on the Diderot effect, why one purchase leads to 10 more, and how to break the cycle.